Alright, so after a bit of a break, it's time to get back to the history of Bond. And we are now in a whole new era of Bond. The Daniel Craig era. Which is not where I started watching Bond, but that's where I really started to take notice. I watched Casino Royale. I thought that was really good. In 2006, when it came out, I was a senior in high school. So I was 19. Yes, I was held back. Shut up. I was 19 years old. And this came out. And I really liked it. And then Quantum of Solace came out, and I went, wow, that didn't last long. I remember not liking Quantum. I think it's actually the shortest Bond movie. I'll be checking that out soon, but I remember not liking it. Apparently, I'm not the only one who shares that sentiment. There's quite a few Bond fans out there that, while there's some stuff that's good in that movie, it is a bit disappointing. But here we go with Casino Royale. After Die Another Day, fans were very split on the whole situation, you know? Made a lot of money, but there was some CGI bullshit, and it just wasn't, like, the director said that this was going to be the next era of James Bond, that this was what it was going to be like, and they were going to move forward with it. You know, Brosnan said that they've asked me to come back, and he said yes. But it never happened. Because they decided that they needed to go in a new direction. And this was the era where you had reboots coming out. Batman Begins was a big one. Came out the year before Casino Royale. And it started out with an origin story. So they decided they were going to reboot James Bond for a new generation, a new era, and Brosnan was going to be left. And they hired Daniel Craig, who from the minute he was announced drew criticisms because he's blonde. Now as you can see, I'm also blonde. And back then, I didn't really care about that kind of thing. I didn't see it. And as you can tell, and even in the movie, there is a darker to his hair, so it's not like it sticks out. When his hair is shorter, like, when I saw, like, pictures or whatever, I've seen videos of when he looked like during the press conference, he was brought in on the Thames, and he had a little bit of more shaggier hair. Yes, you can really tell it. Same with me. I grow my hair out, you can tell more. See, it looks dark, but the more I grow my hair out, you never know because I always have it shaved, but the more I grow my hair out, the blonder it looks, especially when the sun's on it. So it keeps it nice, short, and sweet, and it looks good, so it's not distracting. But everybody criticized him. A blonde Bond, James Blonde. Are they crazy? Look at him, you know, he's very different. He's blonde, he's got no chest hair. Who's got chest hair? You just can't see it because it's blonde, you know? And he's, you know, sleek, smooth, muscular. Some Bonds were muscular, I guess. I don't know if they were really muscular, but they were in good shape. But Craig was the first guy, muscular Bond. I mean, look at Connery in the old ones. He wasn't out of shape, but he wasn't muscular, you know what I mean? Even Roger Moore wasn't bodybuilder type. And he's not bodybuilder, he's not Stallone or Schwarzenegger. Think of it more as, not even Van Damme-ish. I would say maybe Van Damme-ish. Maybe a little bit less than Van Damme. I don't know. He's not big bodybuilder, action star type muscles, but he's got that muscle tone. You know what I mean? Unlike me. But, yeah. He's the first Bond to have a muscle tone, is what I'm saying. And so, you know, we're rebooting Bond. Everything has been taken away from him. No Q. Almost everything. No Q, no Moneypenny. No Walter PPK. No Aston Martin. No 00 status. You start at the beginning of this film. The film starts No gun barrel. They even took the gun barrel away, sort of. And the Bond theme, for the most part. Because this is a Bond. This is the Bond before he became the man that we know. He has been stripped down. He's just getting his 00 status. There's no gun barrel. It's black and white. He walks into this office of an MI6 agent who is apparently, a double crosser, double agent, double crossing M, selling secrets. And he shows up, and you can't kill me, you don't have the license to kill, blah, blah, blah. And then we reveal that he did actually kill someone. And it's when he drowns him in a urinal. Or a sink. It's a sink. Not a urinal. He drowns him in a sink. And you see the weight on Daniel Craig's face. It's the first Bond since Dalton to show emotion. And while I still think that Dalton did it just a little bit better, because most of the emotion in this is dark, because you gotta be dark, because that's the way the reboots was. This Batman, Halloween, everything has to be dark, even Man of Steel to a certain point, but I like what they did there, and it's very good here too. And that's why they were bringing it back. The Bond from the novels, from the Fleming novels, they were bringing it back to that. They did that with License to Kill and a little bit in Living Daylights with Dalton's Bond, but they weren't ready for it. Now they're getting it. And so he kills this guy, and you see the weight of it on Bond's face. Well, he supposedly kills this guy. You see it on his face, and then the guy that he's talking to starts to say, oh, hey, first kill is tough, but say the second kill is, before he can get the sentence out, Bond shoots him. And he's like, oh, I'm well aware. And then we go back to that bathroom scene. The guy's not dead. He gets up, shoots him, and we get the gun barrel with the blood, and right into the title sequence with the song. You know his name, or it's on the back of this, right? You Know My Name, performed by Chris Cornell. And it's pretty good. Not sure it would be in my top Bond themes, maybe. I don't know. But it was pretty good. I have to listen to it again. I usually listen to some of these over and over again if I, So we'll see. But I think it's pretty good. And also the score. David Arnold is back to compose the score, and I think this is probably the best score that David Arnold has done. It works very good. We then cut to Uganda, where our villain Le Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen, is getting money from a Ugandan terrorist guy, or whatever he is, and that's the money that's going to be used in the poker game later in the film. And we cut to Madagascar. Well, we have Le Chiffre talking to Mr. White, who works for a mysterious organization, which will come into play more later in the film, but more in Quantum of Solace. But, and then we cut to Madagascar, where Bond is chasing this guy. He's tailing him. He's got this guy who's like a partner to him, and this guy doesn't know what he's doing because he keeps putting his finger up to his ear to talk to Bond. And of course he's spotted, although he was the only white guy there, and Bond was kind of hiding behind a pillar. So I think he would have been spotted anyway, but this wasn't helping. So Bond begins a foot chase, which is a pretty good foot chase, and apparently the actor they got to play this African-American guy in Madagascar is like the founder of free running, and some of the stuff he does is, it's like, it reminds me of Nightcrawler in X2. Just the way he moves around it. Very cool chase too. And it leads to, they had this fight on this skyscraper thing. Not skyscraper, whatever it is, a crane or whatever it is. And there's some pretty good stuff. And it shows you can still do practical stuff. Yes, you have to use green screens or whatever. But you can still do good without a bunch of CGI bullshit like in Die Another Day. They were really up there doing stunt work, and it's good. Finally, the chase, and then they're jumping off buildings and rolling around. More than once I yelled, ow. Just the way Bond lands on this metal thing. It's just, ow. But he chases them until, he gets to this Ugandan embassy and he just decides to blow the thing up. Even though he had told the guy with the finger in his ear, that finger to his head, not to kill him, they need him alive. He just said, well, fuck it. Blows the shit out of the place. You know, he's got his license to kill. Why not use it, right? But now, he gets, he has to find this guy, what's his name? Calzado? Whatever his name is. He has to follow him, and he flirts with the guy's wife. And to get information. And eventually, this guy leads them to the chief. They figure it out. But I do love, when he gets the information out of the woman, he just orders her wine and caviar and leaves. I can't help but think that some of the older Bonds, like maybe Roger Moore, would have, fucked her first. Would have had sex with her and then moved on. Or told MI6 and then had sex with her and then did the thing. But he leaves. Because this is a blunt instrument. He's going after. He's got a mission. And he plays poker with this guy. And he wins the guy's car, which is the Aston Martin DB5, signature car of James Bond. He does get his Walther PPK, and they make a big deal out of this, and later the suit. He gets the car. This is his car, the Aston Martin DB5, which he uses later in the film as well. And, yes, so he now has to go to Montenegro to play cards with Le Chiffre. And we get the poker game in this, where in the book it was Baccarat. But here, he's playing poker because they want to update it. Texas Hold'em was very popular in 2006. So, yeah, they're playing poker. And I do like how they kind of don't have a one long take at them playing poker. They cut it up. They have a fight scene where the guy from Uganda that the chief was talking to goes after the chief because the chief spent his money on the poker game. And Bond fights the guy. And, we get introduced to Vesper Lynd before this, who is helping him. And there's also Mathis, played by Giancarlo. We got it. It's not on here. Something. But Vesper Lynd, of course, played by the gorgeous Eva Green. And my God, is she gorgeous. And I'd seen this first, but my first really, because I forgot she was in this. 300 Rise of an Empire. I cannot forget that scene. One specific scene with her and the main guy. What are they talking about? Right, Bond. So, here's the scene where he fights this guy and he kills him, and Vesper is there too. And you can tell that it affects him. Even afterwards, she's in the shower, fully clothed, trying to rinse the blood off of her and just trying to cool down. Bond, before he even goes in there, he doesn't even try to seduce her either. He has a drink. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He's still got blood on himself, and he's taking it in. You can see that in this version of Bond, death is going to mean something. Death is going to take its toll. Death is death. It's not just shooting random henchmen like in the old Bonds. It's going to mean something in this version, and that's really cool. And I didn't mention they got Martin Campbell to come back and direct this film after directing GoldenEye, which is cool. So, yes, he comforts her in the shower because when they get back to the game, eventually he beats the chief. He's getting up there. He does lose his money, and that's when we introduce to Felix Leiter, who gives Bond the money to play. He comes back, and the chief has him poisoned. And we get the scene where Vesper saves him with that kind of thing. He'll come out. I don't know how that gets rid of poison. They explained it, but I don't know. I don't know, but it works. And he goes back in. He has one liner. He does get his drink here, the vodka martini, shaken not stirred. It's described. I can't remember how he describes it, but it's described in the way that they describe it in the novel, which is the first time they ever actually done that. The whole thing, which is cool. And he does beat the chief. He gets the money, and yes, but the chief is on to him, and the chief captures him, Bond and Vesper, because Bond believes that Mathis is the one, because they're drinking, they're celebrating or whatever, and she gets a message and she says, "Oh, Mathis wants to talk to me," and he's figured out in his head that Mathis is the one who squealed on the tells on Bond, so he's like, Mathis, and he runs after her, and she's captured. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but Judi Dench returns as M, and I know there's a lot of questioning, like, even I was thinking when she showed up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot she's still in this. I'm like, well, wait a minute, how does that make any sense? Then she says this line, "I missed the Cold War," and that was it. I'm like, there it is. This is a different M. It's the same actress, different character. Because the M that Judi Dench previously portrayed was introduced in GoldenEye as the new head of MI6. And this was after the Cold War. And here, this is a seasoned M who's been there since before the Cold War even. So, yeah. Like I said, there's no Q. No money penny. He barely has any gadgets in this. So it's, and yes, you can compare this to Jason Bourne, to the Bourne movies, which came out the same year as Die Another Day, coincidentally. But yeah, they kind of needed that edgier storytelling, and this works. Especially when you have Martin Campbell come back, and he's really good at directing this film. Score and everything, it's great. David Arnold's score, I should say. And so, we get the scene that I've been trying to avoid, which is why I start talking about M. When Bond tries to pursue them, he finds Vesper in the middle of the road and turns, car flips over, and he wakes up, he's strapped up to a chair, naked, and the chief is taking this rope, and he is whapping him in the balls with it, just under the chair, and it's a ooh kind of scene. It's like, no, stop doing that. But the way that Craig plays this, that he plays the Bond, he's laughing it off, and he shoots out a line, "Everyone would know you died scratching my balls." And what do you mean, die? And he's like, well, when I get out of here, I'm going to kill you. And yeah, and then Mr. White shows up, I haven't seen him in a while, kills the chief. And I went, oh, but what? How? That's the villain. And we got like, I don't know, a half hour left in this movie? And then Bond just wakes up in the MI6 hospital, and Vesper is there with Mathis, and, he outs Mathis as being a traitor. Mathis gets arrested, and then he and Vesper decide to live their own life together. They've fallen in love throughout the film, and I do like the scenes they have together. They have great chemistry. Yes, it gets a little mushy towards this part, but they decide, they have this Swiss accountant guy show up. They put in the code, send the money, and I do like, and I didn't catch this because I forgot about this, but like, I thought about it afterwards, the acting by Eva Green when he reveals that the password is Vesper, her name, you see this look of sadness on her face, and you think at first, oh, she's come to the realization that she's in love with Bond, and, she's never been that way, especially since Eva Green herself is very secluded, If you read a Wikipedia page, you get all about, she's very quiet person. And, yeah. But then once you realize, you know, later you think about that scene. So we'll get into it. So they go to Venice, right? Bond resigns from MI6, which you're like, okay, something is going to happen here, right? MI6, they're all lovey-dovey. They go off together. And the fact that it keeps going, I'm like, what's going on here? This movie should have ended, right? I look at the time, there's 20 minutes left. And I went, how is there 20 minutes left? Is there something I'm forgetting? Yes. Because as it turns out, Vesper is the traitor, not Mathis. Although I do like how Bond explains, no, it just proves that she's guilty, not that he's innocent. They could have both been in on it. Especially since she said Mathis, you know. But, so Mr. White kidnaps her, quote unquote. And it turns out that they were threatening her lover, which, is that supposed to be Bond, or is there another man that she was supposed to be with? Because, I don't know. Were they threatening Bond? They just say that they were threatening her lover. I don't know. And he goes after that man, she dies. And I do like this scene where this is her realization, because I said earlier in that scene, that scene is where she realizes that she's in love with Bond, and that she, she's the traitor, and she realizes what she has done. But this makes her realize that she is in love with Bond, that, that Vesper is the password, she's in love with Bond, and now she's realized what she had done, and so she decides she's going to pay for it by allowing herself to drown. Although, realistically, maybe, I know it takes a while for him to get in there, but Bond would have drowned too. And here's the thing, because they're down there, she's already down there, right? He swims down there, and he's banging on that cage as she's drowning, and he's using up all the air that he has, and he's still banging in, he still manages to get her out, but he would have drowned. I'm sorry, but unless you show him going up to get air and going back down, he would have drowned. I'm sorry, he would have. But he rescues her, sort of, and she dies. And I love this phone call to M. He says the bitch is dead because she betrayed him. But, that's Bond coming to the realization that there is no romance in this kind of life. You can't allow yourself to, let your guard down. And he even has that conversation with Vesper earlier about how he has no more armor, he let it all go, and this is what happened to him. So now he's got the armor back up, he's in his signature suit. We find him, Mr. White, he gets a phone call from Bond. And he gets shot in the leg, and Bond comes walking up to the steps. He's wearing his signature suit. And then the phone call, Mr. White asks him, who is this? And he gets shot in the leg, he walks up, he looks down, and he goes, Bond. James Bond. Movie ends, Bond theme plays. Perfect. Perfect ending. This signifies that this is Bond. This whole film has made Bond become the man we know him to be. He's not fully there yet, but it's the start. It starts. This, fantastic. This film, fantastic. Fantastic start to Craig's run. I don't know why I couldn't remember the word. Just fantastic. I keep saying it. It's fantastic. But yes, I remember though, Quantum of Solace was a bit of a letdown from when I watched it. I've only watched it once. This is my third watch of this film. I watched it once when it came out on DVD. Once when it was on TV with a lot of commercials, and it was like 3.5 hours long. You don't want to watch a Bond movie on network TV with commercials. They're long as hell. And then now, so that's 3. Pretty good film. Fantastic film. Good villain. Good Bond. And, was Matt Mikkelsen was fantastic as the chief. And it really did shock me when he got killed with like a half hour of the film left. And I'm just like, what? Like that meme of Jackie Chan. Like, what, huh? But this was a fantastic film. I have in my head what my top 10 Bond films are. This is probably pushing another one off. But, I'm ranking the whole thing once No Time to Die comes out. Yeah, another good one in the history of Bond, especially after Die Another Day. If I had watched right after Die Another Day, I think I would have liked it even more. But I didn't really hate that movie, but I'm just saying. So what are your thoughts on Casino Royale? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.